Welcome back to AWD Arm Wrestling Dom. Of course, I'm Dom, and it's all things arm wrestling. Got a great conversation with Sean Hancock out of Petal, Mississippi. We learned a little bit about him, the awesome Mississippi State Championship tournament that he had. Him and Brad Man had a great turnout. Stay tuned, and don't forget, hit the like, subscribe, and share, and do that stuff for me. All right, let's do it. Sean Hancock, I appreciate you coming on the show today, man. I've seen and followed you over the last couple of months. So you're an iconic figure, to say the least, in the arm wrestling world. And there's just a few accolades that I want to tell the audience. You're a busy man. Not only are you a family man, from what it looks like, you're a certified promoter for the USAA. You're a senior referee for the WAF there in Mississippi. And you're a certified sports nutritionist and personal trainer. And of course, you're one of the top ranked arm wrestlers at the 220-pound left hand. Last time I looked in the Hook rankings, has you ranked number 10. So hats off there to you there, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I stay real busy. Certified senior ref with WAF and USAA. So just want to put that out there with both associations.
Both of them. Okay. I know I probably missed something because you got a lot going on, and of course, there's a few things I want to talk about. I mean, you just had the Mississippi State tournament go on, which is probably one of the best tournaments. I wasn't there. I wish I was, but I've heard nothing but good things. You were the head promoter on that. And you had a super match with Herrmann Stevens, if I remember right.
That's right.
And then you got a couple tournaments coming up. But before we get to all of that, I wanted to ask you, kind of take me back in terms of where your arm wrestling career started, and how have you been in arm wrestling since the early 90s or late 90s, or kind of break it down for me.
Yeah, late 90s, I would say, on job sites and things of that nature. I didn't hear about tournaments. I didn't even know tournaments existed until 2005, and that's when I started chasing tournaments around nationals in 2007. I was into arm wrestler that time. I go back to the late 90s first. I was in my late teens, starting out. I had my first kid, had a job working construction sites. Of course, on construction sites, you have a lot of tough guys come up, and arm wrestling. I mean, fighting was illegal, arm wrestling was legal. So we arm wrestled a lot, put a lot of money on it. A lot of times, I'd win $200-300.
Oh wow!
A lot of times on other job sites, they'd hear about this guy on this job site having a good arm, so they'd hook up and they'd bet on it. We had a lot of good side bets, going to a lot of clubs and bars back in the days, and you'd hook up with somebody in there that's supposed to be good, so you'd go outside and arm wrestle on the trunk of a car for a couple $100. So 2005, I started hearing about tournaments, going around to those. I was doing really well. I started climbing real good. Went to my first nationals in 05, wound up pulling a tendon off of my elbow on my right arm in that tournament. I think it was probably the second match. And I wound up doing about 4 or 5 more matches after that and just completely destroyed it. So about a year in rehab. During the time I was rehabbing my right elbow, I figured out I was pretty good left. Back about 3 years ago, my son graduated high school. My daughter can travel again, so I get back in the sport, went to WAL regionals and qualified for their worlds over in the a lot of fun, got sucked right back into the sport. So yeah, kind of went head on into it. I know I'm getting a little older now, so I wanted to do more than just arm wrestle, because I'm not sure how long I'll be able to arm wrestle. Well, that was my first thought. When I got back in the sport, I said, I'll go ahead and start doing some refereeing and promoting, because I'm not going to let arm wrestle very long. But shit, I'm seeing all these other guys, man, all these world champions are in their late 40s, 50s, with Tim Breeze, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be around for a while.
Right, you're in your prime.
And I realized that now. I thought I was in my prime in my 20s. I'm in my prime now, so I'm gonna be in the sport for a good another decade. But I am setting myself up though for the promotion world. The people that's running, Denise and Leonard, that's running USAA now, they're talking to a couple of us about, once they finally get out of running the USAA, us taking over. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to a Congress meeting in Poland with the USAA in December. So because they want the rest of the people in the Congress to meet me. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to improving my riffing skills. I'm going to try to get my master's rough certification in December while I'm in Poland. So yeah, moving along real fast in all three aspects of the sport. Of course, my main priority right now in love is training and getting better at the sport. I'm ranked number 10 right now, but there's some in the middle of that's round 4 and 5 and 6 that I believe I would stand up good. So my within the next year, I want to see how high I can ranking and then go back to how good I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I watch you pull, your intensity is just electric, man. It's something that just excites me just watching you. Before I forget, that pub cap that you wear, have you always worn that? Because that's pretty memorable within itself. I like that.
Yeah. I've always worn that. I've got sleeves. I've kind of got a couple little trademarks that I have, and I didn't really do it on purpose. And my intensity is definitely not on purpose. I've had people tell me, "Man, you're losing a lot of energy right there. You shouldn't do all that." Man, I don't even know I'm doing it. It just happens. And I'm completely different person off the table. I'm real calm, mellow, got a real calm voice. I don't get hyped up. If we're in a big scene somewhere, I'm gonna be the guy that's probably back there closer to the corner, just watching and observing. But when I get on that table, I just become electric for some reason. I don't know why. I can't explain it either.
I love it, man. I think it's great for the sport. I think, I don't know who it was, but you had to calm somebody down there at the Mississippi State tournament. You were trying to mediate somebody, a couple of guys actually. Let's see. As far as, your competitive nature and stuff, is there anybody that you clash with or, that you rival with the most? Is there any one person that stands out amongst others
that I clash with, or what happened?
Yeah, what I mean by is there any animosity or anybody in particular that you kind of they don't really rub you the right way per se, or is everybody equal in nature when it comes to just getting on the table?
I don't have any beefs with anyone. Now there are several people out there on in the Facebook and social media world that they kind of rub everybody a little bit wrong. I don't take it personal whatsoever. I take most of what anybody says, especially negative. I take it as just a criticism. It doesn't bother me at all. I laugh at it. I think especially when you see a lot of the social media stuff, especially when I'm getting involved in it, whenever I'm starting to, I guess, so-called smack talk, I've already talked to that person in a private message. I've already went to him, talked to him, say, "Hey man, I'm fixing smack talk. Please don't take it personal," and they approve it. Like, yeah, go ahead, man. Let's get it going. So we're back and forth.
I love it.
We're back and forth. I'm not, especially as being a promoter, I don't want to even take the chance of somebody, thinking I'm, just I'm not going to say ugly words, but I don't want somebody thinking I'm a bad person, So before I start smack talking, I'm going to private message them or call them or something and say, "Hey, we're fixing to, you want me to amp this up some?" So yeah, it's always a mutual thing. But there's a lot of times I get phone calls from people that's on my team say, "Hey man, you need to dial it back and not you're hitting on that guy real hard." I'm like, "But we're joking. We're doing this for a reason."
Yeah, and that's why I love Travis Badgett, and he's a perfect example of that. I mean, anybody who brings that much excitement and tension towards it, whether it's true tension or just a false tension to bring excitement, right? That's what it's about. Let me ask you this, Sean, who would you say you look up to the most, or who have you learned from the most as far as arm wrestling?
There are a couple guys out there that have taken a lot of time to message me or call me or something and just go over things with me. If they see me make a mistake on the table, there's Justin Bishop, Matt Mask. They've taken a lot of time with me, just helping me correct some of the bad habits that I've got. When I broke my left arm in 2017, and when that happened, I created a lot of bad habits out of fear, basically. So I started doing a lot of wrong things. I went straight to back pressure because I was scared of side pressure. That's how I broke my arm, with side pressure with a hit. And so I quit hitting altogether. I quit doing any side pressure. But with Justin and Matt, every time I foul up, they'll message me. They're good about messaging me up, say, hey, you need to try this, do this different, do this different. Or if I've got a matchup coming up with a super match, or if I know who I'm fixing to pull in a bracket, I can always hit up either one of those guys and say, hey, this guy's, I'm fixing to pull this guy, and I know what he does. This is what do I need to do? And they've always been real good about helping me get geared up against my opponent. So I appreciate them the most. I think other than my teammates, of course, my teammates, we work together, a couple times a month, and they've helped me tremendously. Brad Mann, Wayne Withers, DJ Fokakis, and all of my team. They're Rance Clayton. They're just so valuable to me.
Right. And speaking of those big names, and before I forget, Wayne Withers, how about that win over Matt Mass? That was impressive.
Man, I'm so proud of him. Look, if Wayne gets his head right, and I can always tell, and I've told people this forever, and Wayne, I hope he don't get mad at me, but if he shows up at a tournament, I can look at Wayne and have a conversation with him whether he's going to win the entire tournament or not. If he shows up and his mind is focused, then he'll blow through everybody. But if he shows up and he's like, man, I'm tired, I didn't sleep good. He's already coming up with excuses of why he's going to lose. Yeah, he's not going to jump and do real good. But if he gets his mind right, there's nobody that can stop him.
He's got it, huh?
Yeah.
And speaking of Mississippi State, man, let's jump into it. I mean, you had some big names there. You had, of course, Ron Bath, Matt Mask, R.J. Moliner, of course, Justin Bishop. I could go on and on. I mean, you talk about tough state tournament. How did you manage to get all those guys there?
It started with Matt. Go ahead and give him the credit there, and I've already told him that it snowballed from him. I got with Matt, and we've had some of our practice when we had this all over. Yeah, man, I'll come if you help me pay my airfare, and I'll be there. No problem. So when I started announcing that Matt was coming, immediately several people jumped on wanting to do a super match with him.
I saw something on social media. I think it was Facebook. I saw Matt Mask. He got you a little bit of Canadian maple syrup. I saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. A lot of people think it's whiskey or help you drink it. I'm like, man, you need to read the label a little bit closer. It's maple syrup.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And let's talk about that match you had with Herrmann, man. Right now, I believe Herrmann is ranked number. Let me make sure I get this.
He's 7 left hand, first right hand.
That's right. How'd you feel when you went up to had that super match with him?
I actually thought I was going to do better. I didn't know Herrmann was going to be that freak. He's smart. I got to give him kudos, man. That's the smartest arm wrestler. Everything was instantaneous. I knew every time, because I still have a lot of these bad habits in my head, the things that I'm doing. Basically, 2 reasons. I don't have the full IQ that Herrmann has, and I still have a lot of tics from my arm breaking. Still scared in a few different ways, so it's created some bad habits for me. But every time I did something wrong, he capitalized on it, and I could feel him doing things. Every time I went to regrip, I have things that I'm thinking I'm doing right. When I have a lot of side pressure on somebody and I hit their wall, I have them real close down to the pin pad. With anybody else, I can climb their hand and you get a little bit higher, get a little bit more leverage on them. Every time I did that with him, he felt my hand release, and he hit me back and brought me back up to the middle of the table. And I was like, wow, I've never had anybody do that. So I had to quit trying to climb his hand. Every time I tried to climb his hand, he felt my hand release a little bit. He would adjust and do something different and pull me back over. I thought that was just crazy.
Okay. Yeah, it was a great match. I enjoyed watching it. One of the questions I forgot to ask is, as far as, your training regimen and what you do in the gym and how much table time you get, what does that look like during the week or right before a tournament or a couple months before a tournament? How much time you put into that?
Yeah, this Herrmann match, I was putting in about 3 hours a day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And when I get to the gym, I'll put anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour in cardio. That's one of the biggest things I trade for is my endurance. And my cardio is not like a typical cardio. It's not getting on a treadmill and running. I just have to show you. I train for endurance on the table to be able to outlast somebody, and that's what my goal was with Herrmann. I did not even think I was going to try to win the first 2 rounds. I was going to wear him out because I wanted the last 3 or 4 rounds. But that's my biggest trait is my endurance. So yeah, I'll train for 45 minutes to an hour for my endurance every day. And then I'll get on some heavy weights and train all my big muscles in my arms and my forearms and my hands with weights for about an hour. And then in the evenings after my job, I will go downstairs in my home gym and work some speed work on the table. Might throw some light band work in there, but it's mainly speed work and going over drills here at the house for about an hour in the evening.
Gotcha. So you're definitely putting in the work to be one of the best, right? That's how it is, huh?
It's not because I didn't try. It's not because I didn't put the time in. And I wish we were one of those other countries over. There are so many countries that have arm wrestling as a sport.
Oh, I know. I know.
Like fishing here, you know. They get to do that as a job here. Arm wrestling is a job, so it just kind of sucks. 8 hours a day that I can put into my training.
Exactly. And tell me about it. That's why the sport over there is just times 10 magnified. Let me ask this, just a couple last questions here. As far as training, are you going to Worlds at the end of this month? Competing
I'm not going to be able to make the WAF Worlds. I did qualify for it, but I don't take both of them. I've already had sponsors pick me up for the IFA Worlds. So when I can go to both of them, so I had to pick or choose. I'm going to go to Poland with IFA.
Gotcha. And that's what I figured. I figured you'd say that. Well, you know, Sean, thanks for coming on the show. I could talk to you for another 2 hours. I'll have to bring you on another episode, but that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Where can people find you?
Sean Hancock on Facebook or Mississippi Arm Fighter. You know, I run the Mississippi Arm Fighter page, me and Brad Mann do, and so you can get anybody get on there and talk, chat us up. Yes, I definitely add yourself to Mississippi Arm Fighter. We got a couple, about 1,200 people on there now from around the nation, actually around the world. I have a lot of good content on that page, so I definitely invite anybody to come and join that page.
Yeah, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Hopefully, I'll meet you in person one of these days if I ever make it down.
Absolutely, we got a spring show coming up March 28th. It's down streets of Hattiesburg. Out, great show. Come try to make that one if you can. It's a good time. It's a big festival where about 20,000 people.
All right, Sean. Again, I appreciate you hopping on a call today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother. All right, bye.
All right, bye.